Chris Lawrence, thank you. The United States is due to give Egypt well over $1 billion in military assistance this year. And the U.S., and this is what the U.S. gets. Listen to this right now. Several American citizens apparently felt so threatened by the Egyptian government that they took refuge at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. This is an extraordinary move in response to Egypt's crackdown on groups that support democracy building in the country. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Jill Doherty, has been doing reporting on this crackdown. On what's going on. Jill, what do you know?
Well, Wolf, you know, the showdown with Egypt is going from bad to worse. And ironically, it's happening with a country the United States considers its friend. A handful of staff from an American democracy support group working in Egypt under investigation by Egyptian authorities have now taken refuge at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. Among them, Sam LaHood, son of Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, Egyptian director for the International Republican Institute. He and other American staff working for similar groups are banned from leaving the country after Egyptian security forces raided their offices. And in a telephone interview with CNN last Thursday, before going to the embassy, Sam LaHood said he felt safe but was concerned.
Our attorneys believe that the fact that the judge took this additional step of preventing us from traveling is, indicates a more serious, is a more serious step along in his investigation.
The State Department calls it a unique situation and says the Americans were invited by the embassy.
That we do not feel that they are in physical danger at the moment. That is a different matter than whether they are being persecuted in the Egyptian judicial system.
A source familiar with democracy groups in Egypt tells CNN the decision for the Americans to go to the embassy was made because there was concern that arrest and trial could be imminent. That makes for a tricky situation for the State Department. The department's own foreign affairs manual states refuge can only be sought out of concern for safety, not if it is apparently intended to prevent or avoid the execution of the laws of a host country. Is this special treatment for the son of a cabinet secretary? A former ambassador to Egypt doesn't think so. He says it's a way for the embassy to give themselves some wiggle room in the midst of a tense diplomatic standoff.
Nobody is claiming that these folks will face mortal danger if they leave the embassy, and they're there by invitation. So I think it's a very clever act by the embassy in order to remove the immediate precipitant to a situation that may get worse, while hopefully quiet discussions resolve it.
And all of this is happening just as an Egyptian military delegation is here in Washington, D.C. They're meeting with the Pentagon, with the State Department, and they'll also be on Capitol Hill. And their purpose is to give an update on Egypt's transition to democracy. But they're likely to run into a buzzsaw over this issue of how they're dealing with these democracy control groups, support groups. Wolf?
Jill Doherty, thanks very much.